Hey everyone, I am back on my computer this time because my cell phone just died, although I was trying to record. And I feel like and I tend to do this, and I'll always mention this. I go off track, or I just add a lot of things. There are so many things that I can make connections with, or life is interconnected. Let's keep it real. And yeah, it's really hard for me to not lose track because I'm like, oh my gosh, and this and this and that. But I wanted to say thank you to all the subscribers, all the people that have subscribed. I was actually uh, reflecting today early in the morning, and I shared with my partner. I was just like, it's been very difficult. I know I use a lot of filler words, but I can't help it because I am a nervous wreck, especially I I'm gonna keep it honest. I'm not someone that is comfortable or usually on, and I'm not on any other social media platform. I say it all the time, and I feel like even doing this, and when I took the leap of faith to do this, to actually vocalize my sentiments, my feelings, my observations, also like just being here on Earth. I've observed a lot in this world, and I don't want to stay silent about what I've seen, what I've experienced, not only for myself, but what I've seen others experience as well. And I just don't believe change comes with staying silent. I don't believe change and progress comes with just being complacent and okay. And that's something I also mention about, or tackle as well, where it's just like, there's a lot of talk in the liberal, democratic, you know, as you wish, like independent. I know that there's a lot of people that are not in agreement, especially when it concerns the white community, not in agreement with the inequality that exists, are well aware of the inequality exists, but because it doesn't affect them directly, they never speak on it. They never, address it when things are happening in the real world. And I spoke about this in previous videos where I feel like I've always felt supported. I've always felt um, that the individuals that have fought for me and for my rights has been the Black community, without question. And it's unfortunate that other minority communities, and in this case even like the white community that says that they're allies with communities of color, don't even you know do much, right? They do the bare minimum. They could care less, in many cases. And those things need to stop. You can't necessarily say you are for us when your actions don't speak that, your life doesn't speak that. You, or what it seems like is that you're for yourself and what the benefits that you can reap and what you can get out of it. And unfortunately, I feel like this hits home a little too closely with things that I've even observed growing up in my life, and something that I was also sharing with my counselor therapist not too long ago before hopping on here. Is just that I find that in the environment that I grew up in, with my parents being Christian, being religious, being very religious, um, they never dared to step outside of or even question the reality of this country, of this world. Um, and please excuse the emails that you guys will probably hear, because I'm sure that that's happened in the other videos as well. So just a heads up. But I've noticed that with my family, my parents, a lot of immigrant communities like to assimilate, like to conform. They never want to question. They never want to make right things or people uncomfortable, whatever it may be. And I find that it's never been conducive. This is something that I also spoke about when I said, happy Juneteenth for yesterday, where it's just like the Black community has mobilized, has really moved this, not only this country forward, but everyone in it, including minority communities, because they've vocalized the oppression. They've spoken about and against it. And that's something that's missing from minority communities, something that I even saw myself. It's unfortunate when I reflect and the reason why it's taken me so long to even get on here and be on here on YouTube, despite me always having this passion and desire, is that I remember so many times, um, and I speak about not having social media, but when I did like 10 years ago, and nothing against social media whatsoever, it's just like it can sometimes be like detrimental or toxic, and it's not very conducive towards one mental health, but that's just my take. And I feel like a lot of people can get very consumed by it. So I just approach it, and I want to approach it in a way that, if I'm doing something, it's with purpose, right? um so yeah, that's the only reason, so no judgment. But yeah, I do want to say that when I did have Instagram, I remember talking about something that related, I don't know, it was like something that was questioning or just an observation, and making conclusions about it. And I remember my mom telling me like, take that down, what are you putting on like Instagram? And I'm just like, it's unfortunate that our communities, a lot of immigrant communities, they don't want to ruffle any feathers. They don't want to make, those that have been in power for so long, right? And those have upheld colonization, that have been against our very own communities. They don't want to make them uncomfortable. It seems it seems like they've always wanted to abide by that, and that's something that I never agreed with, because it will never be conducive, not only for myself, like, me being here, my parents, my parents, I feel like have another dynamic, being given the fact that they come from another country, they were raised in another country. Um, but I feel like it's so detrimental to our future generations. It's allowing for continuous inequality to, or inequality to be upheld. And yeah, that will never serve anyone any good. So yeah, so I'll say that I am thankful that kind of life takes you full circle. I was also talking, and in this case, to my partner about this. I was just like, it's I've been in this journey in terms of career. Like, I've been someone that's pursued higher education a lot, but I feel like even in those sectors, I've always been like, oh, I find that there is like so much going on within even those sectors, despite a lot of them even being service oriented or being supposedly to uphold equality and justice. It's like, when all is said and done, a lot of it just comes down to money, comes down to business, comes down to what is beneficial. And I just feel like there's a lot of things behind the scenes that point to a lot of injustice, point to a lot of like these systems that are in place that aren't beneficial even for our communities. So I I always looked at everything when it concerns sectors, like, oh man, it's all a business, it's all money, it's all rooted on things that I just feel like, yes, I understand that they are important to survive, to live, to thrive, all this stuff, but it's just like, when it comes down to it being at the expense of someone, like, no, I can't stand with that. So yeah. And I made this channel not only for those that not only for the communities of color here, but just on a worldwide level, because a lot of times there's so much emphasis and focus on like who is within your turf, or like in your area or surrounding area, and it's never about the other, right? So the intention of this channel is not solely for those that live here, but quality for all on a worldwide scale. The ability for people around the globe to live in peace. And naturally, a lot of people would say that's a that's a nice thought, not realistic thought, but only if we can um, fight for more goodness, perhaps we would reap more goodness, right? Because life is also like, what you put out is what you get in. And I don't believe that if you are doing evil and despite people trying to say, oh, well, no, we're not doing evil, the West has been for centuries. The colonization really is at the core of these places around, in progressive societies and places. And you can't tell me that if you do evil, you will reap goodness. Like, there is, at one point or another, evil will come, and evil will exist here or be here, present. That experience that they've put out there, and the things that they've caused other nations and people groups to experience, that will happen. uh, so yeah, I don't believe that just because I have an idealistic, or no, I want equality for all, because that is important in terms of ensuring that not only will I hopefully, you know, perhaps there can be some sort of grace and mercy towards me when all is said and done in this world. And I am someone that questions organized religion. Perhaps I'm getting off track, but it's just like, I do believe that staying true to and uh being a person of integrity is important. So it's something that I want to put out there. I want to preach. I want to be about, not only about humanity, but also about nature, about animals. So I know I it just went a bit all over the place, but so you can understand my heart and understand where I'm coming from, and that I am thankful. I'm thankful for the subscribers for allowing me to really see that perhaps there is a purpose, there's a reason, um, behind this, and it's kind of like life coming full circle, because I've always been like, "Oh, what should I do? In this sector, I can possibly help or be of some like I can provide a skill that is highly needed, but there can be many ways in which you can change the dynamic of the world, not only today and now, but tomorrow as well. So yeah, that's, I find, my message, and who I've always been, and who I hope to always be. And I'm just thankful for, so thankful for you guys. I really am. I'm thankful that some of you perhaps have that same heart, have that same desire, and hopefully more people can come into understanding that it shouldn't always, and it should never be only about us, but about um uh the world as a whole being able to live in peace, and being able to just exist, to be, and something that communities of color have desired for much too long. um and that is where my focus and my heart is at, and bringing attention to that, bringing attention to my experience, to the experiences of other communities of color, and not only necessarily in the USA, but like all around the world. But yeah, I'll be uploading a video. I did write it down, write, some thoughts in regards to why I believe minority communities, although I kind of, as always, I feel like I went into a bit of a thought where it's like I made a connection. But I also highlight, actually, a bit of my, more or less, my background. Hopefully I can share more of my background and my heritage. I I just feel like the internet is out there for the world, and out there for all to see. It is very nerve-wracking. It is something that I'm just like, once again, it comes with great responsibility, and I find that yeah, I'm someone that's introverted and more to myself a lot of times. So I I appreciate that I can talk about the existing issues, but yeah, it's something else. It's and hence why I feel like a lot of times, or even in my past videos, I was just like, oh my gosh, very flustered because it's just like, wow, like my goodness, these are heavy topics, heavy conversations, uncomfortable conversations, and not everyone will get it, and not everyone will understand, and not everyone will be in the same page, but we're all on our journey. And hopefully there can be growth. I know I've grown in my life. I know that I haven't always been who I am. I've had to take moments to reflect in terms of my thoughts and my beliefs due to my environment, due to you know what was being told, or what society in this world has tried to tell me about the world. Um, but hopefully, other people can make informed decisions, can make their own and build their own conclusions instead of having individuals tell them how to think and tell them who to believe in or what to do. And it's just a matter of like making those decisions and taking a moment to reflect and to think about also what we as people and as humans believe. So there's that. All right, take care, guys.